Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharma swarupine Avatara Varisthaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. Namaskar. I offer my pranams to revered Swami Siddheshanandaji Maharaj. I am glad to be here on this auspicious occasion. I convey my pranams and namaskars to the other esteemed speakers, and greetings to all devotees who may be watching this, I don't know, live, online, or in the venue. The subject that Revered Maharaj has asked me to deliberate upon is the significance of the incarnation and his glory. That's a very profound subject. It's very interesting that Swami Vivekananda himself, here in the West or in India, he gave so many talks about various subjects, including Vedanta philosophy and on his favorite subject, India, on devotion, on and even art and science and so many other things. But he rarely spoke about Sri Ramakrishna, the subject most dear to his heart, the closest to his heart, Sri Ramakrishna. He was very careful and very selective in speaking about Sri Ramakrishna. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, he gave only 2 talks, one here in New York, in the Vedanta Society of New York, and the other one in London on Sri Ramakrishna, which he called, the talks are called My Master. And you will find them under one head in the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. There's a talk on My Master. I still remember many, many years ago, as a brahmachari from Deoghar Ramakrishna Mission, I was visiting Advaita Ashram in Calcutta. And revered Swami Mumukshanandaji, who was at that time the president of the Advaita Ashram, I still remember I saw him sitting there in the morning and working very carefully on some notes. And I asked him what he was working on. And he said, I'm working on this lecture. My master, Swami Vivekananda, gave 2 lectures, which we have published under, we have combined it and published in one talk, in one lecture. So he says, I'm trying to separate the 2 and find out which was the New York lecture and which was the London lecture. But the fact remains, Swami Vivekananda rarely spoke about Sri Ramakrishna because he found the subject so profound, so difficult. He says, after a lifelong tapasya, hard tapasya throughout the life, I have been unable to understand more than a fraction of what Sri Ramakrishna was. Out of his grace, the grace of Sri Ramakrishna, people are able to understand him only to the limit of their capacities. But he was far beyond all of this. One day, Sharat Chandra, his disciple, asked him, so Swamiji, do you think that Sri Ramakrishna is an avatar? And Swami Vivekananda said, what do you mean by an avatar? And Sharat Chandra said, why, just like everybody else, we think of Sri Ram or Sri Krishna, Bhagavan Buddha, and Jesus Christ and Sri Gauranga as avatars, just like that. And Swami Vivekananda said, those whose names you have taken, I know Sri Ramakrishna to be greater than all of them. So that was Swami Vivekananda's conception of understanding of Sri Ramakrishna. He expressed it best in the pranam mantra which he composed. Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarva dharma swarupine Avatara Varisthaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. I salute Sri Ramakrishna, who is the establisher of religion in this age, who is the embodiment of the spiritual ideals of all religions, who is the supreme among avatars. To such a one, to Sri Ramakrishna, I bow down. The magnificent hymns which he composed, Khandana Bhava Bandhana and Om Ring Ritam, which we still, till today, in all the centers of the Ramakrishna order, we chant them, we sing them in the evening arati. That is Swami Vivekananda's understanding of Sri Ramakrishna. If we take a step back and consider this whole mystery of the Avatara is a mystery because God appearing as a human being. What an incredible mystery that is. The Avatara, is the Avatara human or divine or both? Is the Avatara eternal or temporal or both? Is the Avatara all-knowing and all-powerful, omniscient and omnipotent, or just limited like us individual human beings? Has God become a human being, or God is only pretending to be a human being, or both? So these are the great mysteries of the Avatara. This Avatara doctrine is most developed in Hinduism. In all the various branches of Hinduism, especially Vaishnavism, you find a full development of the doctrine of the incarnation of the Avatara. But you find it in Shaivism, in Shaktaism also, that in all branches of theistic Hinduism, we find that we have a doctrine of incarnation of God, God becoming human not once, but many times. Many times in the past, in the present as Sri Ramakrishna, and in the future also, avatars will come. Asankhya avatara, there are innumerable avatars. There is a story which Sri Ramakrishna narrates of once Sri Krishna takes Arjuna to a huge tree of blackberries. He says, look, what do you see? The whole bunches of blackberries, the fruits are there. He says, come closer and take a look. And Arjuna comes close to the tree and he takes a look and he sees they're not blackberries, they are whole bunches of, like Sri Krishna, whole bunches of Krishnas hanging on this cosmic tree. So which means there are innumerable avatars in the past. In infinite time, there have been any number of avatars. And in the present and also in the future, there will be avatars. Among the other religions, some accept the Avatara doctrine, some do not. For example, in Christianity, Jesus Christ is seen as an incarnation of God. That's a very central part. I mean, the central part of Christianity is, in fact, that Jesus is the Son of God. There are religions which do not accept an Avatara doctrine, but in all religions, you will find that there is a special category of person. It may not be called an avatar, an incarnation. It could be called a prophet, a great teacher. So, for example, in Judaism, there is this line of prophets. They do not accept that God can in any form become human or even appear as human. But there are these prophets who are at the source of Judaism. And similarly, you find the prophet of Islam, who is the messenger of God. Is not an incarnation of God, but certainly special, not like other human beings. In Buddhism, they do not even accept a creator God. It is a non-theistic religion. But the Buddha is special. So the Buddha, there are these Buddha who came as Siddhartha Gautama, the Gautama Buddha in our history. But Buddha also has a cosmic or mystic dimension, and a God-like existence. In Jainism, there is no God, so there is no incarnation of God, but there are the Tirthankaras who are special, from whom the Jaina Dharma takes its support and its inspiration. And so on. In all the religions, in Sikhism, we have the 10 gurus. They are not considered avatars of God, but they're definitely special. So in all the religions we see, whether avatar is accepted or not, a category of very special, very powerful spiritual beings is admitted. That is something. Swami Saradanandaji, in his magnificent work, the great master Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga, he mentions how the Avatara doctrine came out of this. We noticed that there are these Adhikarika Purushas, special spiritual masters who cannot be included among other ordinary human beings. And in time, of course, this developed into the full-blown Avatara doctrine. So now we have this idea of avatars in Hinduism. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna clearly gives us an idea of what an avatar is. He declares that he is an avatar. In the 4th chapter, in verses 7 and 8, very famous verses of Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So wherever there is a decline of dharma, an increase in adharma, I project myself forth to promote, to re-establish dharma, to help and uphold the holy and the spiritual people, and to correct, to destroy or correct the wicked. I come forth age after age. So this idea of a historical, of God intervening in human history, this is the idea of incarnation. The God appearing in human form to live among us and to teach us and to change the course of human history. From this, we also understand what is the nature of an avatara. How is an avatara different from the rest of us? Notice that the avatara comes of his free will. We are not born under free will. We are born in the world, and then we become aware of our own existence in the world. According to Indian thought, Hindu, Buddhist, Jain, or Sikh, we believe in multiple lives and the doctrine of karma. So in many, many past lives, we have accumulated karma. And out of all this sanchita, accumulated karma, sanchita karma, a part of it becomes active and generates this body-mind. So each birth is because of a part of our accumulated karma. So we are sentient beings. We are born, our parents, the community we are born into, the major events of our life, even our whole lifespan, that particular lifespan, how much it will be. All these major markers of that present life, they are determined by our past karma. So we are born under the compulsion of karma, but not the avatara. Avatara does not have any past karma. So avatara is born entirely out of free will. In full awareness, God comes forth into this earth. And sambhavami, God says, I project myself forth. When there is a fall of spirituality, fall of religion. Swami Premeshananji remarks in one place, he says that we have this general idea about the avatara, that in Vaikuntha, Lakshmi and Narayana are there, and from there they project forth an avatara who comes to the earth. It is more like this entire universe is the cosmic body of God. Just as I pervade this physical body, similarly, this entire universe can be construed as or understood as the body of God, the cosmic body of God. And God, the awareness of God pervades this entire universe. And then Premesh Maharaj says that just as there might be a wound, or an ulcer in some part of the body, and the prana rushes there to try to heal that wound. Similarly, in this cosmic body, if there is a decline of dharma in some place at some time, then the avatara manifests. God manifests as an avatara to set it right. Why would God do that? What is God's purpose? After all, we must remember God in Vedanta, Ishvara or Saguna Brahman, has three functions: Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, projecting forth this entire universe, maintaining it, and finally dissolving it. So the maintenance of the universe, the sustainability of the universe, the continuance of the universe, that is one of the primary functions of God, of Ishvara. And so Avatara has this function, this mission, to uphold dharma, to protect society, and to ensure the harmonious functioning of not only human society, but the entire universe. So that is the purpose. That's why God comes as Avatara. Another big difference is that even our physical body, this body is made of Panchabhuta, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi, and it's the combination of this Panchabhuta. According to our past karma, this is done. And we don't do it, but it is done by nature, by Prakriti. But in God's case, he says, Atma Maya, by my own Maya, I project myself forth. Directly from Maya, a body is created for the Leela of the Avatara. So these are part of the Avatara doctrine. Swami Vivekananda says, nature has two kinds of creations. One is the ordinary creation of Jiva Jagat, sentient beings like us, this universe, all made of 5 elements. But one is a special creation. So he says Krishna or Christ or Buddha, they are created specially by nature, which is the Avatara doctrine that the body of the incarnation, the Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira of the incarnation, are directly projected from a special power of Maya called Yoga Maya. Be that as it may, there is another big difference between Avatara and the human and us human beings. Our purpose in life and the Avatara's mission are different. What is our purpose? Why are we here? We are here, as I said, because of our past karma. We will experience the results of our past karma. We will do more karma and generate more karma, thus ensuring future births. But the whole purpose is to grow spiritually. As we act and interact with this world, we gain knowledge and experience. We develop spiritually. As Sri Krishna says, Sarvam karma khila partha jnane parisamapyate. All activities in this world, O Arjuna, the ultimate goal of it all is knowledge or experience. As we evolve spiritually from lifetime to lifetime, and then we seek spiritual liberation and ultimately attain, we do sadhana, spiritual practices, by the grace of God, we attain mukti or liberation. We become one with God or realize our oneness with Brahman. This is our goal. Our goal is God realization, manifestation of the divinity already within us, as Swami Vivekananda said. But that is not the goal of Avatara. Avatara is already God, and Avatara is fully aware of his own divinity. So what is the mission of the Avatara? Why does the Avatara come? The Avatara comes for, as Krishna says in the Gita, to remove adharma, to check the spread of irreligion and atheism in this world, to promote spirituality in this world, dharma samsthapanaya, to establish and re-establish religion in every age, to help the holy or the spiritual. In fact, one of the most important functions of the Avatara is that those who are spiritual, those who yearn for the presence of God, the best way that they can love God is if God comes in their midst, not in this cosmic form, not in an abstract way, but as another human being. So as Rama or Krishna or Ramakrishna, and then one can have this Leela, Avatara Leela. This is the highest Leela of God. So for the benefit of the holy or the spiritual, that's a very great function of the Avatara. And for in the ancient times, the destruction of the evil ones, Asuras or Rakshasas, we need not understand it in the sense of destruction of evil ones, but in the sense of correction. So they also get a chance to reform themselves and start the spiritual journey or restart the spiritual journey. So this is the function of the Avatar. It's very different from the purpose of ordinary human beings, ordinary human birth. There's a huge difference between sentient beings, jivas, and the avatar of Ishvara, incarnation of Ishvara. And of course, there's a difference in power and glory. We are jivas, we are alpagya, alpashaktiman. We have very limited power, we are very weak. Our lifespans are limited. Our knowledge is very limited. Whereas the avatar comes with the glory of God. They may or may not manifest it, but at least in a potential form, the omnipotence and omniscience of God is always there with the Avatara. And the Avatara has a special power to redeem humanity. The grace of God is the power which sets humanity free from the bondage of karma, or in Christian sense, from sin, from the original sin, that is removed by the redeeming power of the Avatara, that only the Avatara can do. Sri Ramakrishna says, I mean, Farashtanga. In those days, those people who were escaping from British rule, they could escape from the British police by going to Chandannagar. And once they cross the border, they're safe because it is French territory. Similarly, Sri Ramakrishna says, I am French territory. Maya cannot catch you. The causality of karma, cause and effect of karma cannot catch you if you take refuge in the Avatara. So these are some of the exceptional characteristics of the Avatara. What was the circumstance in which Sri Ramakrishna came? So when the Avatara comes, it's usually under extraordinary circumstances. One is the growth of skepticism about religion. All over the world in the 19th century, you see with the advancement of science, there was increasing skepticism about religion. There was this investigation to religion, and people began to feel that religion is a man-made construct. Is it really true that God is there? The German philosopher Nietzsche said that God is dead. God is dead means that we do not accept the reality of God anymore. And he was so prescient, that today we live in a world in which large numbers of people do not believe in God. It is the first time in known human history where so many people have become either skeptical, atheistic, or at least agnostic. They are not interested in the existence of God. So this tremendous growth of skepticism, which accompanied the development of material science and the growth of material powers of science and technology, this was a very big challenge. Why is this a challenge? It is because if our ultimate goal is spirituality, ultimate goal is liberation, moksha, salvation, whatever you call it, nirvana, then if you lose interest, if you lose belief in the very reality of spirituality, whether God exists, whether ultimately moksha, nirvana is possible or not, if we lose interest and we lose belief in that, then the whole purpose of life is defeated. So definitely God will intervene and reestablish our faith in religion. This was also true in India, even more so, because India was under British rule, under the impact of English education, under the colonizing effect of the British Empire. Hindus began to lose faith in the old ways, and traditional Hinduism had become covered with rituals and deshachar, lokachar, the local customs and superstitions, and people found this completely unappealing. The caste system was prevalent. There was discrimination against people of lower castes, against women. All of these things made the 19th century Hinduism, pre-reform Hinduism, rather unappealing especially to young minds who were educated in British and in English education. So there was a time was ripe for a great reformation, for a great upheaval in spirituality, not only in India, but across the world. Another reason, of course, was, if you look at Sri Ramakrishna's teachings on the harmony of religions, the prevailing disharmony between religions is not just in the 19th century. Throughout the history of religions, there's been a history of conflict. Religion has unfortunately been the source of great conflict, even war and bloodshed. So harmony of religions, that was another crying need. That the time has come when the world has become a global village, when we live next to each other, there must be harmony between religions. How else can there be harmony between different communities? So Sri Ramakrishna came at this juncture in 1836. Was born Sri Ramakrishna, and whose teachings re-established religion in this day and age. Captain Vishwanath Upadhyay, who was very close to Sri Ramakrishna, he saw Sri Ramakrishna closely and served him for 15 long years, more than many of the other disciples. And he used to say that to Bengalis in Calcutta, that you Bengalis are fools. You have such a gem in your midst, but you do not recognize who he is. He was a very learned man and a very pious man. He had studied the Upanishads and the Gita and the Brahma Sutras. He had studied the Puranas. He was very orthodox in his Hindu ways. And Sri Ramakrishna also says, Captain Kukub Hindu, that he is a very staunch practitioner. And yet he says that after having read all of this and studied all of this and practiced and met many holy men, He says, all my wishes and spiritual aspirations have been fulfilled by meeting Sri Ramakrishna. This is what is meant by re-establishment of religion. In this day and age, when the question comes, does God really exist? Is it really the purpose of human life to realize God? Like Narendranath becomes Vivekananda when he comes and asks Sri Ramakrishna, that, can I see God? Not that just does God exist? Can I actually experience God? This is the question of this age. It started in the 19th century, an empirical question. If you're talking about God and Atman, but is it a matter of experience or just belief? Are these just speculations? Swami Vivekananda would later say here in the West, if there is God, and I must see God. If I have an immortal soul, I must feel it. Religion is realization. It's not believing in something. So this was very much needed. And Sri Ramakrishna gave this idea through his own extraordinary experiences. By practicing various kinds of spiritual paths, he proved that they are all valid. When all of religion was subject to doubt, Sri Ramakrishna came and proved all of religion is true. The central spiritual truths of all religions are valid, which is a tremendous, tremendous thing to do in this modern age. I remember hearing about a prominent sadhu in the south of India, contemporary. Only a few years ago, he passed away. In his diary, they discovered that he had written, why did he become a monk? Why did he become a spiritual seeker? And he gives some reasons. Why did he become a spiritual seeker, a monk? One reason is that this universe is there, and so it must have a cause. That's like a philosophical reason. Another reason is that all the scriptures, Upanishads and Gita, they say that God exists. So that's a scriptural reason. But third reason for becoming a monk, for becoming a spiritual seeker, third reason is just one word, Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna, which means, he did not explain, but which we understand it means that it's the life and teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. They established faith in religion and spirituality in our hearts. Ken Wilber, this modern thinker on philosophy and religion, he says, in this modern age, if young people are to believe in religion, if they are to follow religion, then three things must happen. First of all, religions must stop fighting among each other. That makes it, otherwise, this fighting among religions makes it very unappealing, especially to the younger generation. Then the second thing is, religion must be in consonance with science. It should not go against science. It should not be unreasonable. Third is, religion should be in harmony with modern ideals about gender and race and all of that. And you find in the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda that all these conditions have been satisfied. That, in the United States here nowadays, one very big movement is what is called the nuns, N-O-N-E. When they're asked which religion do they belong to, Christianity or Judaism, Islam, or Buddhism, whatever, they say none of the above. And many of them say spiritual but not religious. There is a spiritual hunger. People are interested in spirituality, but they don't like the organized religions because of this disharmony between the religions, because of this perceived illogicality, unreasonableness of the religions, and its conflict with modern values. What Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda have done is present, first of all, that religion is a matter of realization. Yes, if you're sincerely interested in religion, in spirituality, you can experience God. And in fact, that is the purpose of human life. That there should not be, need not be, should not be, must not be any kind of disharmony between religions. This was a great teaching of Sri Ramakrishna. The religion is in harmony with science. Swami Vivekananda, he showed that and he proclaimed that. It's completely in harmony with modern values, egalitarian values. Sri Ramakrishna's great teaching of the harmony of religions, Jato Mat Tato Pat, is immensely relevant to today's age. Especially here in this country that I see, people do not understand that there is a kind of underlying fanaticism that if one path is true, the others must be wrong. It's not just some people are fanatic, even very well-read scholars, thinking men, they do not see how if one religion is true, how can the others be true? And Sri Ramakrishna's great contribution is to show that. So, how did Sri Ramakrishna show that? He said, first of all, the ultimate truth is beyond language. So when it is expressed, it can be expressed in various ways. This is the ancient Rig Vedic doctrine, the teaching, Ekam Sad Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. The truth is one, but the wise speak of it differently. His beautiful, homely examples that the village pond is there, and different people go and they take the same water, use the same water, but call it by different names. Some call it, some call it pani, some call it jal, some call it water, and so on. But they mean the same substance. So, in the same way, what the Muslims call Allah, or the Jews call Jehovah, Christians call Father in Heaven, what we Hindus call Brahman or Ishvara. So all of these, they pertain to the same reality. This is one very important teaching. The truth is one, but it can be expressed in different language. And this truth, which is one reality and can be expressed in different language, the goal of human life is to realize this. See, even the purpose of human life is under doubt. What is our point of existence? What is the purpose of our existence? Sri Ramakrishna makes it very clear. ভগবান লাভ করা জীবনের উদ্দেশ্য, ভক্তি লাভ করা জীবনের উদ্দেশ্য, জ্ঞান লাভ করা জীবনের উদ্দেশ্য. To get knowledge, to realize God is the purpose of life. And all these different religions are different paths to this realization. See what a wonderful and clear and simple understanding of religion. What is the purpose of religion? Purpose of religion is not politics. Even here, most people understand religion is meant to make a good society. That's one effect of a good of religion, that ethics, a good society, sustainable society will come up. But that's not the purpose of religion. The real purpose of religion is God realization. It's a bridge between humanity and divinity. It is to take you to your purpose of life. That is your purpose of life, and religion helps you to do that. So now religion becomes so important, spirituality becomes so important. It will help me to realize the ultimate purpose of my life. And the different religions are different paths. Sri Ramakrishna would say, for example, to the Brahmo devotees have come to meet him at Dakshineshwar. And Sri Ramakrishna says that, look, some of you came by carriage, some of you came by boat, some of you walked, but in the end you all got here. And that's what matters. Similarly, people may go to God in different ways. And then all these religions are different ways. They're like different paths up the mountain path, up the mountain to the peak. There may be different paths. And the paths are different. Therefore, you would expect religions to be different. Why not? And that's the beauty of God's creation, this enormous diversity, this richness. So all these religions are valid as different paths to God realization. Therefore, there need not be any quarrel among them. Sri Ramakrishna says there are different ways to get to the roof of the house. You can go through the staircase, you can climb up bamboo stairs, you can even climb up with a rope, whichever way, but you get to the roof of the house. We can get to God through all these different paths. There need not therefore be any kind of quarrel between the followers of different religions. In fact, one of the things Sri Ramakrishna disliked intensely was dogmatism. He used to call it motuhar buddhi, that putting a limit to the nature of God, that God is like this and nothing else. Sri Ramakrishna could not stand this kind of narrowness, that who are you to define God? The nature of God is infinite, and different religions, they understand different aspects of that. All of those are true, but they are not comprehensively true in the sense that they have exhausted all of God. So put in this way, we begin to understand. And yet, then Sri Ramakrishna, who had practiced different forms, and he found it in his own experience that they are true. In a Shaiva practice, in a Tantric practice, a Vaishnava practice, beyond the bounds of Hinduism, he saw and admired and respected the Sikhs whom he met. He practiced a form of Christianity, a form of Islam, and he found the same truth at the end of all of these paths. But does that mean that we have to follow all the paths? Sri Ramakrishna, of course, said that no. If you have to dig a well, it's better to dig in one place, a 6-foot well in one place, rather than 6 1-foot wells. If you go on digging in different places throughout the day, you'll never find water. But if you dig in one place, there is a much greater chance of finding water. Similarly, the idea of ishtonishtha, that your dedication to your chosen ideal while having respect for all other ideals. So this was Sri Ramakrishna's teaching, fully based on the general tone of ancient Hindu thought. You find it in the Rig Veda, you find it in Shiva Mahimna Stotra, in various texts, in the teachings of different masters throughout the ages in India. But Sri Ramakrishna emphasized it for the modern world. Especially here, when I'm in the West, I see that the continuing relevance of those teachings. For us Hindus in India, especially followers of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, these teachings may seem very good and very natural. What else is there? But you see how relevant they are when you see the fanaticism, the narrowness that exists about religion, even in such advanced countries here in the West. So tremendously relevant teachings, even now in the 21st century. I think that on this auspicious occasion, if we reflect on the significance of the advent of the Avatara in this day and age, we will see how lucky we are. We are very close to the time of the Avatara. The glory and the power of Sri Ramakrishna are still very much evident, and they will be for centuries to come. So the most powerful spiritual practice is what you may call Avatara Yoga, to take refuge in, to have firm faith in, and to meditate upon the Avatara, his life and his teachings. May the blessings of Sri Ramakrishna, Ma Sharada and Swami Vivekananda be upon all of us. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.